Good evening. It's Natalie Zangon with my video of the day. I hope everybody's having a great time. So, I've been wanting to do this talk because I've come to realize that some of the things in life that to me seems like common sense, to some people it's not. It's like an extra effort or it's an extra doing and it just like doesn't make sense to them. So, I was thinking if there was a tree that was called a marriage tree, right? What would be the roots of this tree to be thriving and growing and doing the best it can and give the best fruits? So these would be the five essential ingredients, roots that this tree would have to keep a stabilized, strong marriage. Number one would be gratitude. A marriage that's built on gratitude, most things cannot shake it. The gratitude from one spouse to another and that spouse to that. So recognizing the good that's before you within that gratitude is appreciation and saying thank you. This is the number one essential factor. When you start taking each other for granted, that's when things start opening up. A relationship, a marriage, anything that wants to be kept has to be maintained. Otherwise, it will fall apart. That's just how it works. Number two, consideration. If you do not have consideration for your spouse, for their wants, wishes, needs, and like kind of like respect and accountability, this is a recipe for failure. If you and consideration is essential, so number one would be gratitude and number two would be consideration, being considerate of the others, giving them that respect that they need because you're considerate to them, so you give them respect and you like you have that recognition and consideration of them, and you have accountability. If you did something that bothered them, if you're considerate for the other person, you will recognize it. Number three, compromising. In order for you to have a good marriage, you need to be able to compromise and be able to see the world from a different angle. If you are so set in your way, it's not going to work. Number four, empathy. Having empathy and understanding, having having that space where you can empathetically create of your time and your space for the others. So being able to create that understanding and empathy is essential. And number five, I would say it's about patience. Being able to have patience in your relationship and being of support even if things are not the same, having patience for each other and having that consideration and like the rest of our list: gratitude, consideration, compromise, understanding, and patience. And when you're grateful for something, you make time for it, you create space for it, you invest in it. And marriage is no different, relationship is no different. Just because you give a ring and you say Hara'at Mekudeshet Li and you break the cup and you say the Sheva Brachot, it's not the end. It's only the beginning. That's how a good relationship is maintained. Full of time, respect, consideration. That's how it's going to be maintained. Now, the opposite, a tree of marriage, would be a marriage that's built on demand, control, expectation, resentment, put down, gaslighting, making the partner think crazy. She says something about, can we do this or do that? And like they would say, why do you always make things up? And then you're like, I didn't make up. I just said like playing mind games to make the person think they're going crazy. Very self-centered, narcissist. Like I think this is how it is, and that's it. So that like a person who's thinking like that, they are going to have a disastrous marriage if they're very eye oriented. um Whereas marriage needs, like I said about the number three of the above one, compromise and the unity is essential for a healthy marriage. um Complaining, criticizing, constantly being in a survival mode, attacking, da, 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 da. Why is this here, why is that there, you never do this, you never do that, never, 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 you started it, you made it, why, so always changing the story around and making the spouse feel like the victim and blaming and putting down and no respect. This is the antidote to a good marriage. A good marriage needs to have, like I said, gratitude, consideration, compromise, understanding, and patience. And under the consideration, number two is the respect. If you don't have this, the marriage will fall apart. If you don't prioritize your marriage, if you don't prioritize your relationship, if you don't spend time, if you don't have parts in your relationship where you're genuinely connecting and having fun and being together for the joy of each other's company, it will fall apart. Your only purpose in marriage is not to get married and have kids and raise the children. It's not a parenting factory. There's more children need than just a roof over their head, food and clothing. They need a couple that has a good, strong relationship. Thank you so much for watching. This is Natalie Zangon, also known as Mother Goose, wishing you a wonderful Rosh Hashanah ahead and a meaningful Elul. We should remember and remember again. Marriages that are good take lots of work and effort. They don't just happen, they are effort put into it to make it happen.